All right, everyone. It's time for me to give you my thoughts on the Skelton Bladeworks Caladan. It's interesting because right now, when I'm taking my notes and doing my measurements and stuff, I am using an orange pen. So I thought I would just leave this out here for a moment. And it's a size representation. So this is the knife, the production knife that Jim Skelton designed. Had Tuya knives built overseas, and Jim is selling out of his, trunk. Not really. It's up on the website and all that stuff, right? These are currently basically sold out. I think that Jim, in talking to him the other day, he has some in his inventory at his own house. So if you are interested in one, Jim may have some available still. I don't know which color. There was multiple variations. I can only talk about this orange G10 version that was loaned into me by Alex over at the Watch and Cut channel, my co-host on the EDC Hour. So you had there was one that was a frame lock. This is a bolster lock. They had a frame lock, which was full titanium, and it had some milling and stuff. That one was like $250, I think. And then they had the orange G10. They had carbon fiber, a couple different variations. And I think there was another one. There was 4 or 5 different configurations in the bolster lock version. I think the orange looks awesome. It's just, titanium bolsters. And let's just zoom in and take a close-up look. And you're going to get my thoughts on whether this is an awesome knife, a good knife, or not so good. So it's taken me some time of hanging out with it to really collect my thoughts. Because for a number of reasons, I want to give it a good shake. I know there's a lot of hype about them right now. Jim is really good at building hype. I mean, he has spent a lot of my money over the years talking about knives and hyping them up to the point where I had to buy them myself. So I get it. Little glimpse there. It is S90V. And at these price points, $250 for the basic version, and I think $285 maybe for the copper or aluminum infused carbon fiber. So they had the aluminum version and a copper infused version of carbon fiber. And I think those were at the upper end at $285, $290. I think that was all sub 300. Sub 300. S90V, titanium, and a bolster lock. So right off of the bat, those are great prices. Jim's a friend of mine. So I wanted to really reach out and spend some time with this before I talked about it, the good and the bad. A spoiler alert, it's not perfect. I had a conversation with Jim just yesterday at the time I'm filming this, and I was upfront about it because he asked me. I posted a picture on Instagram. I didn't even tell Jim I had it. I posted a picture on Instagram. My brother instantly commented on the Facebook. You post on Instagram and it automatically syncs over to Facebook. So my brother had some questions. Jim chimed in, made some comments, and then he asked me how I liked it. And I was honest with him and told him that it's good, but there's a couple of issues. And he absolutely agreed with me on the 2 issues that I have. And then I came up with a third one that he doesn't know about yet. So let's just talk about it. Let's get some specs out of the way first. 4 3/4 closed, 8 3/8 overall. 3.71 inch blade, 3.43 cutting edge. 0.017 behind the edge. 0.149 blade thickness. Overall thickness is 0.538. S90V. S90V at 250? 275? 300? Get out of here. And it runs on bearings. And it weighs in at 4.7 ounces, just a little bit less than your D-cell battery. I applaud Jim for going with S90V and not just the normal standard everybody's doing M390. Do something different. Stand out from the rest of the crowd. So Jim, good job. Tuya knives. This is the first knife I've ever handled from Tuya knives. I'm going to tell you, the fit and finish here on the scales is amazing. I am just going to say, I'm going to pull out my Frank Fisher Battle at a much, much, much higher price point, at multiples of X. The finish between the G10 and the titanium here, let me zoom back out a little bit. The fit and finish between the G10 and the titanium right here is the same as this handmade custom 5-figure knife. So Tuya did a fantastic job on the fit and finish. It's the same on the backside. You cannot feel any transition between the G10 and the titanium. So they did an amazing, amazing job on a sub $300 knife as far as the fit and finish. It's crazy. Like, I don't know how they did it that well. You can feel the screws because they're kind of they're countersunk, but you can feel them, which is okay. Your backspacer here is cool, and it's got that hidden lanyard loop, right? I've talked about that before. I'm not a lanyard guy. So this hole here in my North Arm Skaha just ever so slightly bothers me. Not a big deal. But I would prefer to not have it or have it hidden. So they hid it. As I look at this closer, though, I'm like, how in the hell are you supposed to get a freaking paracord in there to make a lanyard? Like, I don't even know. Do you have to take the knife apart so that you can thread that in? I don't know. I did not ask Jim about that because this came up. I just really came to that realization today before filming. Give you a close-up inside with some light in there. It's just blank. Nothing. No big milling, no nothing. You don't need it. I love that there's nothing really big on the blade. You got the Tuya logo. You've got the blade steel. And then over here in the pivot, you got Skelton Bladeworks logo. I mean, I got to give it to Jim. He got a logo. I don't even have a logo. And he just used initials. Like, come on. How cool is that? All right. So what do I not like about it? Or what do I think can stand some improvement? And what is being improved already? First off, let's talk about how it got here. Because Jim's a friend of mine. He told me the story. He sketched this out on a napkin. Okay, that's a little cliche, but it was a hand-drawn sketch that turned into a 2D rendering. And then, boom, right into production. There was no prototyping. There was nothing. He got nothing in his hand until he got a box full of production ready-to-sell knives. Normally, there's a a prototype run. And that's where you pick up these little nitpicks that I'm going to talk about. And I don't know. I have not watched anybody else's video. The only videos I've seen on this thing are from Jim when he did a video. And then I have seen him do clips of everybody else's videos on his Instagram stories and stuff like that. And of course, he clips out the very favorable parts. But it sounds like these other reviewers thought this was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Which brings me to another point. What was the greatest thing before sliced bread? I always wonder about that. If you know what was great before sliced bread, let me know down below. All right, so there's a couple of things. One is the pocket clip is rather pointy and pokey. And as I pick up the knife and I go to fire it, It's exactly where my finger lands, is right there on that pokey side. And I'm putting some pressure here as I'm firing the knife. So it is rather uncomfortable there on the middle finger. I mean, that's just how it works. And Jim knows that. And he agreed with me. He says that's being fixed in the next run. All right, cool. Perfect. So it's not just me. He knew about it. The action on the close is great. Just like I like it. Nice and controlled kind of drop, right? It's not that snappy of a firing deployment. It makes me a little sad because it's a great knife that the action is totally sufficient, but just okay. Again, he knows about that, and that's being fixed in the next run. He says the frame lock version actually has more lock bar tension and doesn't have that issue. All right. Awesome. What I do like is the placement of the lock bar and the way the flipper tab stops right on your thumb so that you can get your fingers out of the way and down it goes. I also like the fact that there is a large relief for the lock bar. So it's not just right here where the normal lock bar goes or where you would normally see, and I'll grab another knife here in a second to show you that, but all the way back. You can access the lock bar from way back here easily. You have a lot of room to get into that lock bar. Now, if your finger is not up here where the flipper tab is going to hit your thumb, you best be careful because the thing is sharp. Okay? This thing is freaking sharp. Okay? But I like the fact, and that I don't know that that was intentional, to have access to the lock bar way back here before the bolster even. That is super cool. It's a little thing, but it's cool. Now, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room in my mind is this guard thing here. And I talked about it in the unboxing for a minute. As it sits right like this, I just don't love that little beak coming down. Design choice, no problem. It does hide the flipper tab. When it's open, I think it looks a lot better, which is weird to me. I'm not sure how I feel about it. You don't need that big of a guard on this knife, but okay. That's a total preference nitpicky thing. Okay? So let's see about the Battle. The Battle has no cutout for the lock bar, so that's a bad example. Okay? Since Jim got me into the Hellraisers, so liner lock, you see how there's just a little bit of a cutout there for the liner lock? And this one, you have nothing. Nothing's going, you're done. There is nothing to save you. Okay? Same with on the custom Hellraisers. This one used to belong to Jim. Again, just a small cutout for the lock bar. Whereas here, you got a lot of room. And it's chamfered here, or it's jimped right there, so you get a lot of purchase on it. All in all, guys, I mean, I think it's a cool knife. And I think that the second run is going to be fantastic. If you bought one of these first runs, think of it as, and this is Dirk talking, this is not Jim talking. Think of these first runs as the prototypes. A lot of prototypes. So he can get a lot of feedback. The other thing I don't personally like is the flipper tab is not super comfortable if you're going to be a fidgeter. Okay? It just, over time, repetitiveness, it becomes a little uncomfortable because it's not sharp, but it's not, it could maybe be a little more chamfered or something. that's just me. So don't take that too poorly. But S90V locks up solid. There's no blade play in any direction. It's super solid. There is a steel lock bar insert. It's all the normal stuff. Okay. I believe it's T8 on the pivot and T6s everywhere else. I'm guessing. I did not check that. I would have liked T8s maybe. It is only right-hand carry. It is not a reversible pocket clip. So if that's a thing for you, just be aware of that. All in all, I think it's a good looking blade. And Jim, can you send me a version 2? Because I would like to check that out. And the orange was pretty cool. The carbon fiber, I think was kind of tempting to me. But I think these are cool. I think that Jim's got a great eye for things. He did a great job on my mini Hellraiser fixed blade. I love it. And also loaned in from Alex right now, I have the Tron fixed blade. I believe this is the, I think it's the Scaphoid. I don't remember what the model name of this one is. I'm totally spacing it, and I'm guessing it's wrong. As I say Scaphoid, I think it's wrong. But anyway, I got to do a video on this one still, so stay tuned for that. That's just a little bit of a sneaky peek since I was here with it. I don't know. I can see some DNA there in the blade. I could see that these are they're siblings. So I think there's some really cool stuff that Jim has to come. And I'm looking forward to the other production stuff he's going to come out with. And I'm excited for him. And I hope I did this video some justice. It always makes me nervous whenever I review one of Jim's knives. I mean, Jim's a legend. Granted, mostly in his own mind. But he's got like 80,000 subscribers, and he's made me buy a lot of knives over the years. That battle over there, I blame him for, because ever since he did a first video on a battle way back in the day, it became a grail knife. So, yeah, I get a little nervous talking about stuff that he designed or that he physically made himself, because I'm just some knucklehead guy with a camera with 7,000 barely subscribers. Who am I to talk about Jim Skelton, right? So it does make me nervous. It took me a few days to really kind of get my thoughts together over this thing. And I'm looking down and we're like 18 minutes in, so I know nobody else is watching. But I don't know. I just want to give you guys my complete and open thoughts on this thing, because Jim's a friend. So I wanted to give some extra time and some extra rambling about it, just because I can. So a couple of quick size comparisons before I've rambled this long. I should do some size comparisons. The Sharpie, the Delica, the first custom Hellraiser, the Black Death series that Jim used to own. And I'm just really honored to have this in my collection, honestly. Super excited about that. And it gets carried a hell of a lot. And the VC Edge interface, because why not? It's about the same size. 1.5 ounces, 4.7. Not a comparison, because they're different. So before I hit the 20-minute mark, I'm going to say thank you all very much. Please check out my Jim Skelton. I don't even think I have a Jim Skelton playlist. I was going to say a Jim Skelton playlist. Check out whatever video comes up here in the corner, and please go check out Jim. I know he's really trying to get to 80,000 subscribers in 2023. So do me a favor. I don't even know why I'm talking to you guys. If you're not already subscribed to Jim Skelton, then you're living under a rock. But if you're not, go check him out. Tell him I sent you.